Bleachers, you are listening to the only podcast in Ontario that keeps you in the game.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright, let's do this.
So I gotta ask this next question on behalf of my buddy Daryl Gear. He's a big baseball fan. What the hell happened between Ted Lilly and Gibby?
Oh, gosh, that's one of the funniest days I ever had there. Ted was a tough guy to be around, a little bit flaky, kind of out there. Nice enough guy. Certainly had some talent, but very inconsistent. He's out there on the mound goofing off, throwing knuckleballs, and Gibby went out there to get him. You know, and I'm sure there was some stuff brewing because Ted was frustrating to a lot of us. I mean, I can tell you at least a dozen times we asked him to stop throwing changeups when I put down fastball. He would throw a changeup after you put down a fastball sign. And it, not only is it dangerous, but it's disrespectful. He just kept doing it. We're just like, all right, whatever. You know, and I think Gibby had had enough. And when he went out to the mound, Teddy gave him some bullshit excuse. So, well, I'm out here trying to compete. He's like, you don't throw a knuckleball. He's like, well, I'm doing whatever I can to get him out. No, I don't think so. So Teddy popped off to him while he was on the mound. It was embarrassing. He showed him up out there in front of the entire crowd, in front of the whole team. And Gibby went down in the tunnel, and words were exchanged. And I'm sure I didn't see it because I was too busy laughing because I knew what was going to happen, and I wanted it to happen. I wanted it. In fact, I was hoping that they were going to tear each other apart at that point because my relationship with Gibby had deteriorated to the point where I didn't care anymore. So I was like, yeah, go get him. And then all of a sudden, sure enough, and I wish I had the footage, but there's a camera from right near the on-deck circle, and you see the side of my head, and I'm looking down the tunnel while everybody's running up underneath the stadium to break them up, and I'm like, I'm just laughing. I'm like, go ahead, beat the crap out of each other. I'm loving it. Two of my least favorite guys are up there fighting, so that was fine for me.
That sounds like another one of Tom or Jerry's proud Blue Jay moments. Anyways, Greg, I want to talk to you about being a baseball purist, stealing signs, and everything that's gone on with the Astros. I mean, if you're smart enough to steal a sign, that is an indication of baseball IQ. But if you're stupid enough not to change your signs up when someone's figured it out, that's your own damn fault. Do you not agree?
I agree 100%. When I got to the Blue Jays, they were one of the best I'd ever seen at it. Vernon, Frank Catalanato, Carlos Delgado, those guys were awesome at stealing signs. But our pitching staff, on the other hand, could not handle a complex set of signs because they hadn't been taught to do so in the minor leagues. Plain and simple. You had the biggest group of knuckleheads out there. Second sign, shake first. First sign indicator. Sign after two, shake first. I'm like, are you guys kidding me? It was a joke. And they knew that their own team was stealing signs, but they were so inept, so enamored with their own internal clock. I got to get the sign and go. I can't be thinking about this. I'm like, okay, so on one hand, you're telling me you can't think about this, and then on the other hand, you're shaking me off. Which is it? You're either going to call your own game or you're not. So I was like, hey, you guys deserve to get your head kicked in. And I can tell you right now, I have absolutely no problem telling people this. The Yankees, Boston, I can almost guarantee that back then they had a dedicated camera on my crotch and every other catcher that came in. And you know what? I know that because we would change the signs. And the first guy that got to second base already had them. So how, if he didn't know what the signs were from watching other footage of us, did he already have it without actually seeing me put down a sign, a second sign, a third sign, and figuring out what the sequence was? And for me, I have absolutely no problem with that. until they said it was illegal to do so. I think, okay, what we've done is what they're doing in almost every other walk of life in the planet. You're lowering the level of excellence so that everybody can compete. Oh, poor Johnny doesn't have the mental capacity to use complex set of signs, so we'll fix it for him. We'll make it illegal for the Astros to use a camera to figure out what he's doing. You feel better now, Johnny? Go make your $20 million a year. That's what we've done. We've lowered the level of excellence so everybody can participate.
Players like Jeter, A-Rod, and Ortiz, they all knew what they were looking at for signs.
A-Rod was one of the best I've ever seen at it. Jeter, same way. They all knew what was going on. And you know what? I wasn't mad at him. My only thing was this. There's only a couple of different ways to combat that back when I played. And less towards the end because they pretty much outlawed the drilling guys. They'd stop letting players police the game on the field. You could grow a set of signs, get a better set of signs, or you could purposely put down 95-mile-an-hour fastball at the ribcage. And now you've got the hitter looking at the guy at second base going, what the heck's going on here? You just flew me the wrong sign. I almost died. That's the way we used to nip it in the bud. Get rid of it right there. But you know what? Most people don't have the stomach to see that kind of baseball played anymore. They don't want to see guys getting dusted, smoked. You hit our best hitter, so I'm smoking your hitter and the guy after that. They don't have the stomach. Fans don't have the stomach to watch that kind of game anymore. I mean, I'll relate it to your sport. Look at hockey, okay? I'm a novice fan. But you tell me that all this fancy puck handling and all the dangling and all the stuff they're doing is possible 15 years ago when you had to skate with your head up? No chance. So you don't see a guy coming across the middle getting absolutely destroyed anymore. Why? Because they're worried about concussions. They're worried about, the kids at home seeing a violent thing on the sport. But they love the fights. Oh, let's drop the gloves. Let's go. Let's do it. But they're changing the game because all of a sudden they've got guys who can really skate fast, who have lightning quick hands. And I've gone head-to-head with Connor McDavid. He made my eyes bounce up and down my head. But the point I'm saying is I watch these guys in the NHL all over the place now, and they're skating with their heads down, doing all this fancy stuff. You tell me 15 years ago if they had to look up, they could do all that stuff?
No, they'd be seeing stars.
Well, they've lowered the level of excellence. Look at how the balls are juiced. The ballparks are tiny. Jose Altuve? Are you kidding me? The guy's a hobbit, and he's hitting 400-foot homers the opposite way. That's physically impossible with a legitimate baseball. I'm sorry. It doesn't exist 15, 20 years ago.
Well, okay, you talked about changing the game. You talked about juicing the balls now. We talked about the ballparks and the changes earlier. Look at Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium. You've got a fence that's really short where you stack the deck with left-handed hitters and you're bunting and they're going yard on bunts.
The old ballpark too. It's short porch to right field, but nobody understands why it was so deep to left. Because where it was when they built Yankee Stadium, they had to fit it into a neighborhood. Okay? They could have done it any way they wanted to, but they wanted to keep the nostalgia. But I know where you're going with this, so I'm going to let you ask your question.
Where I'm going with this, Greg, is we're creating these stadiums with the short porches to fabricate home runs and to fabricate, something that didn't exist before. We're changing the game too much, just like the rules. Are you okay with the new rules with breaking up double plays?
No. I want to see guys getting punted into left field. I'm sorry. I'm 0 for 4. I get a chance to impact the game. If I get up underneath your feet, and you know what the most ironic thing is? Chase Utley. You could spook that guy easily. We used to talk about it in pregame meetings. Get up underneath Chase's feet. Let him know you're there. He'll throw it in the stands. And he ends up being the guy that punts a dude into left field, and they change the rules. Same thing with the rules at home plate. Okay? Buster Posey had his ankle broken at home plate. They changed the rules at home plate. Why? Because he's an MVP and a batting champion. If it's me that gets my ankle folded up, nobody gives a shit. I really believe that the only reason why they changed the slide rule is because that was such an ugly collision. They just wanted to protect the eyes of baseball fans. They didn't want them to see the carnage. Sorry about it, but we are artificially determining who the star players are. If you're hitting the genetic lottery, You're an Aaron Judge. You hit the genetic lottery. You're 6'5" and have long arms. You're a pitcher. Genetic lottery. Whether you're mentally tough, a hard worker or not. The NFL can't hit the quarterback anymore. But who makes the most money in the game? The quarterback. So you're telling me that because that guy's born 6'5" with the ability to throw the ball 50 yards down the field, we're making him a billionaire, and that kid from that 6'5", 240-pound freak of nature who can run a 4.5 40 that plays linebacker, a la Lawrence Taylor, who has the ability to terrify that quarterback, wreak havoc on an offense. He no longer has the ability to impact the game in the way that he did 20 years ago, and so therefore he's making less money. They're artificially determining who the star players are. Look at the hype. Let's go back to Vladdy Jr. Look at all the hype around that kid. He didn't make the all-star team, and they put him in the home run derby. He had no business being there. No business. He wasn't an all-star. Plain and simple.
So it sounds like you're agreeing with me on these rule changes, that they're not really the best thing for the game. Are we sucking the history right out of baseball?
Yeah. Yeah, we are. And you know what really sucks for me? My entire career, the steroid era. All right? And here, and there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with me or, really dislike me for saying this. But there's no denying that steroids saved the game of baseball. 1998 home run race between Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. Everybody and their mother knew what was going on. They buried their head in the sand because fans were just starting to come back to the game of baseball. Just starting to come back after the strike. Okay? And you know what? A lot of players were on it. A lot of players skated. There's a couple of guys who were recently inducted into the Hall of Fame that were juicing their entire career. And for some reason, they avoided the scrutiny that everybody else did. When everybody's doing it, who cares? I mean, really, honestly. And I had no problem with it because it wasn't illegal. Once they made it illegal, then there's a problem. Just like the signs dealing with electronic stuff. If the rules are set out, then you have the rules, you break them, you pay the penalty. No problem with it. Don't necessarily agree with it. I think that there's a place for steroids in professional sports from a rehabilitative standpoint. You've got a guy making $35 million, and you could argue both sides of this case. You got a guy making $35 million, he blows out a hamstring, and you could juice him up and get him back on the field way ahead of time. Don't the fans have a right to see that guy? But then on the other side of the coin, you say, well, injuries are a part of the game. His loss changes the dynamic of the pennant race. And then here we come back to me being able to punt somebody into left field on the slide takeout. If I end up breaking that guy's ankle, hey, and he happened to be their best player, it was a clean slide. He didn't get his foot in the right position. Now the pennant race is affected. Here I go, running down the line at home plate. Buster Posey gets the ball late. I throw an elbow and dislocate the guy's shoulder, knock him off the plate, score a run. I win a game for my team. I genuinely changed the dynamic of the pennant race because of the injuries. Here's the thing where I try to make the connection with the steroid thing. They're all looking for asterisks because of the record books. Or is there going to be a juiced ball era? Is there going to be an asterisk next to the home runs that we saw the last 2 years in Major League Baseball? Because guys like Jose Altuve, no matter how quick their bat is, they don't have the leverage that it possesses that players need to hit 30-plus homers, unless the ballparks are juiced and the balls are too. Major League Baseball, guess what? They own the company that makes the baseballs. They can't juice the players, so they juice the balls up to make it more exciting. And if you want proof that it's going on, you need look no further than AAA, AA, static, same numbers. AAA started using the Major League Baseball with the AAA stamp on it last year. Home runs went up by like almost 50%, up like 46%. You're telling me that the balls aren't loaded up, and so all these purists, all these people that want to complain about what was going on during the 90s and the early 2000s. With the juice end of the players, whatever. Always remember that there was a major period there where it wasn't illegal. You also need to take a real hard look at the juiced ball era and how come there aren't any asterisks next to the pitching. You can argue this all day long with people, all day long. Nothing wrong with the game. This new commissioner, electronic strike zones, and can't take people out, can't do this, can't do that. Come on, let them play. The fact that you've got face masks now as a fashion statement in the game versus, oh, I got smoked in the jaw, lost 14 teeth and had a broken jaw, missed 3 months, lost 25 pounds because I had it wired shut. Kids are wearing it because it looks cool. They got arm guards, face masks, can't drill guys, can't pitch in anymore. It's a war of attrition. It's a battle for real estate. I want that outside corner as a pitcher, so I need to pitch in here. But do I really even need the outside corner anymore? Because you got guys hitting balls 400 feet that are knee-high on the black and white because the balls are juiced. And I'm like, I don't even – if I was a pitcher, I wouldn't even know where to go.
Yeah, look, Major League Baseball has been creating the superstars how they want them as far back as Roger Maris. Like, look at the home run deal with 61 with the Astros with Babe Ruth, because there was a couple more games added, or day games and night games, but they put the Astros there. We just need to be simply celebrating the accomplishments of gifted athletes.
Look, if the balls are going to be juiced, acknowledge the fact that they're wound a little tired. Tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Because guys that played the game like me, I know what's going on. You're not fooling me. I don't care. I really don't care. The fact that the balls are flying farther doesn't bother me one bit. And I had to call a game. And I'd have to call it if I was still playing. I'd have to figure out a way to do it. But if you're going to juice the balls up, give the pitchers the opportunity to pitch back in, because now you got little guys going line to line on what we call bastard pitches. That's hardly fair. If the pitcher doesn't have the ability to smoke people or pitch inside, and I would remove players' rights to wear this unless they spend time on the DL. Unless you've had a documented injury where you spent time on the DL, no shields on your elbow. No shields on your front foot. I don't care, because if you're gonna regulate the medication that can be used to rehabilitate a player, so and so fires a ball off their ankle and they miss 2 weeks. That could irreparably damage their chance to make playoffs. Let the game happen the way it's supposed to happen. You got a documented injury, wear the guard. You get smoked in the face, wear a guard. But if you're not afraid of my 95 that's headed right at your chin, knocking you out or worse, and there's nothing I can do about it as a pitcher. Got to make it more realistic.
Greg, my views simply on it are, at a young age with kids, the game is getting soft, especially starting at the youth organizations.
We've got youth organizations around here in the Toronto area that have made the face mask mandatory even before a kid gets hit. Now, I get it. They're babies. You want to protect them. But what you've done is effectively raised a generation of ball player who won't know how to get out of the way. They won't know how to get out of the way because they're protected. They might as well wear a cage. It's gone way beyond safety and concern. As we've talked about, they're artificially creating the superstars. They're determining who they want to be a success and who not.
I simply believe with all the equipment changes and the rule changes that they're setting themselves up for a higher risk of injuries because they're not going to know how to play the game right.
There's risk involved in every sport. The NFL players' wives who are coming back to the NFL and suing over concussions after they've cashed $20 million signing bonus checks, I've got no sympathy for them whatsoever. You didn't know that football was an inherently dangerous sport. You're going to go run at 20 miles an hour and bash skulls with another 200-plus pound human being? Really? You didn't know? That's the whole purpose for that large signing bonus, because your sport is so dangerous, your career could be over in a heartbeat, and it's there to take care of you and yours for a lengthy period of time. Same thing with hockey. You're going to get hurt. You're going to run into some people out there. You're going to take a puck in the mouth. What's the next thing they're going to do? They're going to put cages on NHL players. Baseball, you're going to get hit by the ball once in a while. You're going to take a bad hop and hit you in the face. You're going to run the bases. You might roll an ankle. I mean, we can't take the danger out of every sport. It's inherent. It's going to be there. And honestly, if you play the game long enough and you have the privilege of making your living as a pro athlete, every single one of us coming down the third baseline, I wore it as a badge of courage. And I've got some lingering health problems since I retired. There are things on me that don't work the way they should because of all the pounding, all the surgeries. But you know what? I made a good living, and there's no chance I'd trade what I'm dealing with now for the money I made. No way. And that's exactly what it is. You trade flesh for money, plain and simple. I apologize to anybody that doesn't like the way I put that, but plain and simple. We trade our bodies, our future well-being for those millions of dollars that we make during our playing career. And anybody that's got a bitch to make after the fact can shut up, in my opinion.
Greg, and that is why I hate it when people don't fully understand why athletes get paid the money that they do and their average career lifespan. It's very short. Plus, on top of it, you got agent fees, you got escrow fees, you got union dues, you got state tax, you got federal tax. The list goes on, and people just do not understand the risk and the rewards and why they sacrifice their body. But before we let you go here, Greg, I just want to talk about the Baseball Academy and what you're doing in Toronto.
Yeah, well, we started an organization this year, and obviously COVID is going to be a huge problem for us. We don't know whether we're going to have a season or not. But, my biggest problem with the game right now is a lack of good coaching available. Now, everybody can calm down. I'm not saying that there aren't any good coaches in Canada. There are quite a few, but not nearly as many as there are in the United States. Plain and simple. There aren't enough good coaches in Canada to really make an impact. There really just there aren't. What you tend to see is a lot of people who masquerade as top level coaches. They go on YouTube and they spew all the nonsense techniques. They're taking thousands of dollars from kids with the promise of scholarships to where. My big thing is I want to develop good players. I want to try to create a network of coaches that are reputable, who know what they're doing, but they still need to learn. I want to coach the coaches as well as the kids. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I feel like I communicate the game well. A lot of times I'm not as subtle as I should be when I talk about these things. But when have I ever been subtle? Love me, hate me, tune in to see what I'm going to wear, whatever. I'm a big believer that there are just as many talented kids in this country from the ages of beginning to 12 as there are anywhere else. There's a serious disconnect when these kids start to move to the bigger diamonds. And the reason why, they're not fundamentally sound. The reason why they're not fundamentally sound, they weren't taught to be fundamentally sound at a young age. That comes back to coaching. Yes, there is a problem with a little bit of weather, but if you build quality facilities with enough square footage, shouldn't be a problem. The problem is, we keep coming back to this, people will spend millions and millions of dollars on hockey in this country, but when their kid comes to them and says, I want to be a ball player, or they figure out that they're not going to get an OHL contract, but they're a pretty darn good player, they send them down to the batting cage with a $300 bat, and they expect everything's going to figure it out. I had a kid tell me last year when I was recruiting players for my team, I'm quitting baseball this year so that I can, make sure I get an opportunity to play OHL. I want to make sure I'm ready to go. And I said, really? And I go, what happens if you don't? He goes, well, I'll just come back to baseball. And I said, you think it's that easy? He goes, yeah, baseball's easy. And I said, okay, good luck with that. Pivotal year, you're 15 years old. How much better do you think your 16-year-olds or friends are going to be when you come back to this game thinking that you can just pick up where you left off? Not going to happen. Hello, my love. So I just look at it like this. There's a serious hole. There's a serious gap. I'm trying to fill the gap. I want to coach good coaches. I want to give players that are former pros, guys that played high-level college ball, a marketplace to showcase their talents as instructors. I want to give the kids bang for the buck. There's no denying that we're going to have to charge thousands of dollars to do travel and elite. It's just because they don't have high school baseball here.
Yeah.
They're absolutely not getting what they're paying for here. So I've got big plans. I've got the Gregg Zaun Baseball Academy, which we really don't have a building. We're kind of a traveling circus, so to speak. I'll go teach wherever I can to whoever wants me. But working on a new facility, I can't really talk about that right now. I don't want to jinx it. But large training facility, large tournament and showcase facility, but really giving kids an opportunity to train with high-level instructors 11 months a year if they want to. Well, the proof's in the pudding. 2 players, entire country of Canada last year drafted the first 2 days. The first 2 days. And then there were like 20 or 30 day 3. Whole bunch of afterthoughts. If that's really the case and the population here is roughly the size of California, if they're doing such a good job, where are the numbers to support it? Okay? I want to try to be a voice for change. I want to see player development become the focal point. Get these kids the ability to train at a high level, train around the calendar if they want to. I can't make people love the game, but maybe if they had an opportunity to be exposed to better coaching and better facilities, that things might change a little bit. Things might change. So that being said, my Don Valley Dodgers club, we were scheduled to play in the Fergie Jenkins League. As I said, some of the powers that be here, they're entrenched. It's always a competition for players. I don't care. You think your program's that good? Good. Let's play. Let's play. Give me a fair shot at finding players. Because I can tell you one thing that they're going to get from me and my staff that you're not going to get anywhere else: dedication and a high level of training from people that know what they're talking about. And if I'm a kid aspiring to be a ball player, who do I want to be taught by? Some guy that I don't know, or somebody like me with a resume that can actually communicate the game. But if you're looking, something else, maybe you don't get an opportunity with them and you want to try us on for size. Baseball Academy at GreggZaun.com. It's just my email address. It goes right to my cell phone, my computer that I'm staring at you. There's relatively few filters. I mean, some people find me at GreggZaun.com through this. The website for my app is GreggZaunBaseball.com. But you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. You see a lot of stuff I post. I'll do sample videos here and there. But I've got nothing but time to talk to people, kids, parents, about our program, about our goals, about what our priorities are. Unlike a lot of programs here, I'm not putting my kids in a situation they're not ready to handle. Just to say we went to U.S. tournaments, just to say to justify a price tag. I'm about player development. If you're a good player, people will see you. They'll find you. You don't need to work that hard. They'll come. They'll still find you. So it should be about developing as a player. Where are your weak spots in your game? Let's figure out what that is. Let's address them. And I teach kids at all ages, and I teach girls too. Anybody that wants to play ball, they can call me, reach out to me on the email, and we'll work something out for sure.
Gregg, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for stopping by at In the Game. Let's keep in touch. Let's chat some ball later in the year.
Yeah, buddy. Appreciate it. You guys, call on me anytime. I'll be around.
Thanks, man. Stay healthy.
Cheers, you too, pal.